The War Council of the Dominion fell silent as Admiral Kane entered the chamber. His black armor reflected the crimson lights of the command center while his officers stood at attention. Every being in the galaxy knew his name and feared it. The Dominion had crushed 47 civilizations under his leadership, and each victory made them stronger. Kane walked to the holographic display, showing a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star. The tactical data scrolled past in alien script, but the numbers told a clear story. This world called Earth had primitive weapons and scattered governments. Their most advanced ships barely reached their own moon. Their military technology looked like toys compared to Dominion plasma cannons and energy shields. "How many inhabitants?" Kane asked his intelligence officer. 8 billion, sir. They seem to be divided into many small nations that fight among themselves. No unified government or military command. Their weapons use chemical explosives and metal projectiles. Kane studied the planet with interest. Most species surrendered immediately when they saw Dominion ships in orbit. Others fought briefly before accepting their fate. These humans might provide a few hours of entertainment before joining the Empire as workers or slaves. Prepare the fleet for invasion, standard protocol. Give them one chance to surrender, then demonstrate our power. The massive Dominion fleet began moving toward Earth, 60 ships of varying sizes, all bristling with weapons that could crack continents. The smallest vessel carried enough firepower to level a city. The largest could shatter moons. Kane's flagship led the formation as they crossed into the solar system. Earth's governments detected the approaching fleet within hours. Panic spread across the planet as world leaders tried to understand what they faced. Military bases went on high alert. Nuclear submarines dove to deeper waters. Fighter jets scrambled into the sky carrying missiles that would barely scratch Dominion shields. Kane watched the primitive human responses with amusement. Some of their leaders tried to BROADCAST messages of welcome. Others prepared their pathetic weapons for a hopeless fight. A few seemed to be evacuating their cities, though there was nowhere to run from the Dominion. The fleet took position around Earth, and Kane opened a communication channel to every receiver on the planet. His voice echoed in dozens of human languages. As translation systems worked, "I am Admiral Kane of the Galactic Dominion. Your world is now under our control. You have 1 hour to surrender completely or face destruction. Resistance is futile. You cannot fight us. You cannot hide from us. Submit now, and some of you may survive as servants." The response from Earth surprised him. Instead of immediate surrender or desperate military preparations, most of the planet seemed to go quiet. No panic broadcasts. No last-minute weapon launches. Just a strange calm that Kane had never seen before in 47 previous conquests. One transmission came back from Earth, but it wasn't from any government or military leader. A simple human voice spoke calmly. "We hear you, Admiral Kane. We understand your position. Please give us some time to prepare our response. We promise it will be worth the wait." Kane frowned at this unusual reply. The human sounded almost friendly. There was no fear in the voice, no desperation or anger, just a polite request for more time, as if they were discussing a business meeting rather than planetary conquest. "You have 1 hour?" Kane repeated. "Use it wisely." As the deadline approached, Kane expected to see signs of surrender or final military preparations. Instead, something very different began happening on Earth. The planet's communication networks exploded with activity, but not the kind Kane expected. Images of the Dominion fleet began appearing everywhere on human networks. But instead of fear or despair, the humans were creating what their language called memes, jokes, artistic representations. Commentary about the ships that ranged from technical analysis to humorous observations about their design. Some humans had set up cameras to broadcast live footage of the fleet. Others were taking photographs and sharing them with captions, like "cool spaceships outside today" and "neighbors are getting a bit extra with their decorations." Kane watched in growing confusion as humans began rating the different ship types. They gave his own flagship high marks for intimidation factor, but criticized the exhaust design. Some suggested paint jobs that would really make the ship pop. The strangest part was how many humans seemed genuinely interested in meeting the aliens, not as conquerors but as visitors. Comments flooded their networks asking about Dominion culture, food, music, and daily life. Children drew pictures of what they imagined alien families looked like. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving thousands of individual messages from the planet. Many are addressed to specific crew members by estimated position on the ships." Kane pulled up some of the messages and felt something he had never experienced in decades of conquest. Uncertainty. The humans weren't treating the Dominion as a terrifying invasion force. They were treating them like interesting guests who had arrived for a visit. One message was addressed to the admiral in the big ship. It came from someone called Betty who lived in a place called Kansas. She wanted to know if aliens ate cookies, and whether the admiral would like to try some of hers. She included a recipe and pictures of small baked goods that looked harmless and somehow appealing. Another came from a group of human children who had questions about what alien schools were like and whether alien kids played games. They wanted to teach the visitors some Earth games if they were interested. Kane found himself reading message after message from humans who seemed genuinely excited about making contact with alien life. Not as subjects or slaves, but as equals. As potential friends, the hour deadline passed, and Kane realized he had completely forgotten about demanding surrender. Something was happening here that fell outside his experience. The most feared military force in the galaxy was being welcomed like long-lost relatives to a family reunion. For the first time in his career, Admiral Kane didn't know what to do next. Dr. Maya Rodriguez had been waiting for this moment her entire career. While other scientists studied physics or biology, she had focused on something far more complex: human behavior, social psychology, the strange ways people connected with each other even across vast differences. When the alien fleet appeared in Earth's skies, Maya wasn't in a bunker or military command center. She was in a small office in Geneva working with a team of psychologists, anthropologists, and communication specialists. They called themselves the Contact Protocol Division, and for 20 years they had been preparing for exactly this scenario. Phase 1 is working perfectly, Maya told her team as they monitored global communications. The initial fear response lasted less than 6 hours. Now we're seeing the curiosity pattern taking over. Her colleague Dr. James Park nodded as he tracked social media trends. Meme generation is at record levels. The aliens are being integrated into human culture faster than any previous phenomenon. Look at this. He showed Maya a video that had already been viewed 10 million times. A teenager in Tokyo had edited footage of the alien ships to music, making them appear to dance in formation. The comments were filled with people praising the choreography and requesting an encore performance. The fear response was natural, Maya explained to her team. But humans are remarkably adaptable. When something new appears, we first assess if it's a threat. When the aliens didn't immediately attack our species, did what it always does. We started trying to understand them and make them part of our social structure. Maya's phone buzzed with reports from around the world. In New York, street vendors were selling T-shirts with alien ship designs. In London, a pub had created a cocktail called the Galactic Dominion and was offering free drinks to any aliens who wanted to try it. In Mumbai, children were playing games where they pretended to be aliens visiting Earth for the first time. The global response was unprecedented but also completely predictable to anyone who understood human psychology. When faced with something unknown, humans didn't just fight or flee. They also had a third option that no other species seemed to possess. They tried to make friends. The individual messaging campaign is exceeding all projections, reported Dr. Susan Walsh from her monitoring station. We're getting over 50,000 personal messages per hour addressed to specific alien crew members. People are sharing photos of their families, their pets, their hobbies. They're asking questions about alien daily life. Maya smiled as she read some of the messages. Humans were doing what they did best. They were being human. Curious, social, empathetic, and impossibly optimistic about the potential for connection. A construction worker in Detroit had sent a message asking if aliens needed help building anything. On Earth, he offered his services free of charge and included references from previous jobs. A grandmother in Seoul had translated her kimchi recipe into dozens of languages, hoping aliens might enjoy Korean food. "What's the military response?" Maya asked. "Minimal," Dr. Park replied. "Governments are following the protocol we established. They're maintaining defensive postures but avoiding any aggressive actions. Most world leaders are now focusing on preparing welcome ceremonies rather than battle plans." This had been the key insight that Maya's team had developed over 2 decades of research. Military resistance against superior force was doomed to fail, but humans possess something that might be far more powerful than weapons: the ability to transform enemies into allies through simple human decency. Maya watched the alien fleet through her office window. The ships hadn't moved from their positions, but something had changed. The menacing formation now looked more like a group of visitors who weren't quite sure how to proceed. "Ma'am," Dr. Walsh called out, "we're getting reports of changes in alien communication patterns. Their internal ship communications are showing increased traffic. Some messages appear to be questions about human behavior." Maya felt her heart race with excitement. The plan was working even better than she had hoped. The aliens had come expecting to face weapons and armies. Instead, they were encountering something their military training had never prepared them for: unconditional human friendliness. "Phase 2 begins now," Maya announced to her team. "Start the cultural exchange protocols." Within minutes, human networks began flooding with new content. Not memes or jokes this time, but genuine attempts at communication. Language experts shared basic lessons in human languages with invitations for aliens to teach them alien words. Musicians uploaded songs dedicated to their galactic visitors. Artists created portraits of imagined alien families and shared them as gifts. The most powerful element of Phase 2 was the children. Schools around the world had organized projects where students created welcome messages for the aliens. Thousands of videos appeared online showing human children introducing themselves, explaining their favorite games, and asking if alien children wanted to play together. Maya knew that few species could resist the appeal of young humans. Children represented innocence, curiosity, and the future. They were humanity's ultimate ambassadors because they approached new experiences without prejudice or fear. "Dr. Rodriguez," her assistant called out urgently, "we're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet. It's not directed at governments or military leaders. It's addressed specifically to you." Maya's hands trembled slightly as she opened the communication. The voice that emerged was clearly alien but spoke English with surprising clarity. "Dr. Rodriguez, this is Commander Thane of the Dominion Fleet. We have been monitoring your communications and we understand that you are coordinating much of your species' response. We are confused by your behavior. We came prepared for resistance or surrender. We did not come prepared for invitations to dinner." Maya took a deep breath before responding. This was the moment her career had been building toward. "Commander Thane, thank you for contacting me directly. We understand you're probably confused. Most species you encounter likely react with fear or aggression. Humans are different. When we meet someone new, our first instinct isn't to fight or run. It's to learn about them and see if we can be friends. We're curious about your people, your culture, your families. We'd love to get to know you better." There was a long pause before the alien replied. "Your species wishes to be friends with the Galactic Dominion?" "Well, yes," Maya said simply. "Why wouldn't we? You've traveled across the galaxy to visit us. That's quite an adventure. We'd love to hear about your journey and learn about your homeworlds. Would you like to come down for coffee? I make excellent pancakes." The communication channel went silent. Maya smiled, knowing that somewhere above Earth a commander who had conquered 47 worlds was trying to figure out how to respond to an invitation for breakfast. The weapon was working perfectly. Lieutenant Rex had served aboard Dominion warships for 15 years. He had witnessed the bombardment of crystal cities on Altair Prime. He had watched proud warrior races kneel in defeat. He had seen fear in the eyes of countless species as they faced the might of the Galactic Dominion, nothing in his military experience had prepared him for what was happening now. Rex stared at his communication console as hundreds of personal messages continued arriving from the planet below. Most were addressed to him specifically based on his estimated position on the ship. The humans had somehow figured out the crew layout of Dominion vessels and were sending individual messages to each officer and soldier. One message was from a woman named Alice who lived in a place called Canada. She had included pictures of something called a hockey game and wanted to know if aliens played sports. She thought Rex might enjoy learning to skate and offered to teach him if he ever visited Earth. Another came from a man called Roberto in Brazil who was passionate about cooking. He wanted to share recipes with aliens and learn about Dominion cuisine. Roberto had attached detailed instructions for making something called feijoada along with photos of the preparation process. Rex found himself studying these images with fascination. The humans looked so different from each other with varying skin colors and facial features, yet they all seemed to share the same enthusiastic curiosity about alien life. They wanted to know about Dominion families' hobbies, music, and daily routines. Lieutenant Rex reported to the Admiral immediately. Came the order over the ship's communication system. Rex made his way through the corridors of the massive flagship, noticing that other crew members were behaving strangely. Instead of the usual military focus, many were reading their personal messages from humans and discussing them with their colleagues. Did you see this one about human pets? Rex heard one soldier ask another. They keep small animals in their homes for companionship. This human wants to know if we have pets too. Rex entered Admiral Kane's command chamber to find the leader of the Dominion fleet staring at a wall of human communications. The Admiral looked more confused than Rex had ever seen him. Lieutenant, what is your assessment of this situation? Kane asked without turning around. So the humans are not responding. According to any conquest protocol I've studied, they appear to be treating our arrival as a social event rather than a military invasion. Kane nodded grimly. I've reviewed similar behavior patterns in our databases. No conquered species has ever responded this way. They fight, they surrender, or they attempt to negotiate. They don't invite us to birthday parties. Rex glanced at one of the messages on the wall. A human child had drawn a picture of aliens and humans playing together in what appeared to be a recreational area. The child's message expressed hope that alien children would visit Earth so they could be friends and play games together. Sir, may I speak freely? Rex asked. Go ahead. The humans are employing a form of psychological warfare we've never encountered. They're not trying to defeat us through force. They're trying to make us not want to conquer them. Kane turned to face his lieutenant. Explain. Rex pulled up his own collection of human messages. These communications are designed to make us see humans as individuals rather than targets. They're sharing personal information about their lives, their families, their hopes. They're asking about our lives in return. It's becoming difficult to view them as enemies when they're treating us as potential friends. Kane studied the messages. With growing alarm, Rex was right. The standard Dominion strategy relied on viewing conquered populations as resources to be harvested, numbers on casualty reports, obstacles to be removed. But the humans were making themselves impossible to ignore as living, breathing beings with complex inner lives. Have you noticed changes in crew behavior? Kane asked. Yes, sir. Many soldiers are spending off-duty time reading human messages and discussing them. Some have begun expressing curiosity about human culture. A few have asked me if we might actually visit the planet peacefully rather than conquer it. Kane's worst fears were being confirmed. The most disciplined military force in the galaxy was being compromised not by enemy weapons but by enemy kindness. Sir, incoming transmission from Earth, reported the communications officer. It's being broadcast on all frequencies simultaneously. The view screen activated to show a human woman with graying hair and kind eyes. Behind her stood dozens of other humans holding signs with messages written in various languages. Greetings, Admiral Kane and crew of the Galactic Dominion. I'm Margaret Thompson, a retired teacher from Earth. We've been watching your beautiful ships, and we're amazed by your technology and your journey across the galaxy. We want you to know that you're welcome here. The human paused as others behind her held up their signs. Rex could see messages like, "Welcome friends," and "We want to learn about you," and "Earth loves aliens." "We understand you might be far from home," Margaret continued. "We know how hard it can be to travel to unfamiliar places. We want you to know that Earth is a friendly planet. We have good food, comfortable places to rest, and people who would love to meet you. If you're interested in visiting, we promise to treat you with respect and kindness." The transmission showed scenes from around Earth, humans gathered in public spaces holding welcome signs, children drawing pictures of aliens, families preparing extra food in case alien visitors might be hungry. "We've prepared welcome centers in major cities around the world," Margaret explained. "We have translators, linguists, and cultural experts ready to help with communication. We've also prepared gifts representing the best of human culture. Music, art, literature, and food from every nation on Earth." The broadcast ended with thousands of humans waving at the camera and shouting welcome messages in dozens of languages. Kane stood in stunned silence. Rex felt something he had never experienced in 15 years of military service. He felt wanted. Not feared or respected, but genuinely welcomed as a guest. "Sir," Rex said quietly, "I've never been invited anywhere before. In my entire military career, every planet we've visited has seen us as conquerors. These humans are the first beings to ever offer us hospitality." Kane nodded slowly. Around the command center, other officers were having similar realizations. The Dominion had spent generations perfecting the art of inspiring fear. They had never learned how to respond to beings who refused to be afraid. "Lieutenant, prepare a response team," Kane ordered. "Small group. No weapons. We're going to investigate this planet more closely." Rex felt excitement building in his chest. For the first time in his military career, he was going to visit a world not as a conqueror, but as a guest. The humans had found the Dominion's weakness. Not in their armor or weapons, but in their hearts. Beings who had never known kindness from strangers had no defense against unconditional welcome. The shuttle bay of Admiral Kane's flagship had never been used for diplomatic missions. Every previous landing had been a military operation designed to establish dominance over conquered worlds. But as Lieutenant Rex prepared the small transport vessel, he realized this mission was unlike anything in Dominion history. Kane selected only 5 crew members for the initial contact. No weapons, no battle armor, just basic environmental suits and communication equipment. The Admiral himself would lead the landing party to demonstrate that this was not a standard military operation. "Sir, we have incoming communication from Earth," reported Communications Officer Vale. "They're providing landing coordinates and offering assistance with atmospheric entry." Kane accepted the coordinates but found himself puzzled by the location. Instead of a military base or government facility, the humans had directed them to what appeared to be a large open area surrounded by buildings. Earth databases identified it as something called Central Park in a city called New York. As their shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, Kane watched the planet's surface grow larger below them. Cities sprawled across the continents connected by networks of lights. The civilization looked vibrant and active despite the presence of the Dominion fleet in orbit. "Look at that, sir," Rex pointed to their landing zone. Central Park was filled with thousands of humans. They had set up what appeared to be a massive festival with colorful banners, food stalls, and stages for entertainment. Instead of military checkpoints, Kane saw children playing games, families having picnics, and groups of people holding welcome signs in dozens of languages. The shuttle touched down gently on a prepared landing pad. Through the viewport, Kane could see humans maintaining a respectful distance but clearly excited about the arrival. Many were taking pictures. Others held signs with messages like, "Welcome to Earth and we come in peace too." Kane's first step onto an alien world felt different from every previous conquest. Instead of the silence of defeat or the chaos of battle, he heard something unexpected. Music. The humans were playing festive music to welcome their visitors. A small group of humans approached the shuttle. Leading them was Dr. Maya Rodriguez, who Kane recognized from their previous communications. She was smiling warmly and carried what appeared to be a bouquet of colorful flowers. "Admiral Kane, welcome to Earth," Maya said as she offered the flowers. "These are from my garden. We hope you'll accept them as a symbol of friendship between our peoples." Kane took the flowers uncertainly. No conquered species had ever given him gifts before. The flowers had a pleasant scent and bright colors that somehow made him feel calm. "Dr. Rodriguez, this is not what we expected," Kane admitted. "What did you expect?" Maya asked with genuine curiosity. "Fear, resistance, military preparations." "Not a party?" Maya laughed, and the sound was surprisingly pleasant. "Admiral, you've traveled across the galaxy to visit us. That deserves a celebration. Come on, let me show you around." Maya led the Dominion officers through the festival. Humans approached them with curiosity rather than fear. Children offered them samples of Earth food. Artists sketched portraits of the aliens as gifts. Musicians played instruments and encouraged the visitors to try making music themselves. Rex found himself surrounded by a group of teenagers who were fascinated by his uniform and equipment. They asked dozens of questions about life aboard a starship, space travel, and alien technology. When Rex mentioned that Dominion ships had gardens for growing food, the humans became even more excited and began describing Earth's agricultural methods. "Try this," said a young woman, offering Rex something called ice cream. The cold, sweet treat was unlike anything in Dominion rations. Rex couldn't help but smile as the flavors filled his mouth. Kane watched his officers interacting with humans and felt a fundamental shift in his understanding of the situation. These people weren't primitive. They weren't weak. They possessed something the Dominion had lost long ago: joy, the simple pleasure of meeting new people and sharing experiences. "Admiral," Maya said as they walked through the festival. "Could I ask you something personal?" "Go ahead." "When was the last time you enjoyed yourself? Just had fun without thinking about military objectives or conquest plans?" Kane considered the question seriously. He couldn't remember a single moment in his adult life when he had done something purely for enjoyment. Every activity, every interaction had been focused on military efficiency and galactic domination. "I don't think I ever have," Kane admitted. Maya nodded sadly. "That sounds lonely. The Dominion has given you great power, but it seems to have taken away simple pleasures. Would you like to experience what you've been missing?" Before Kane could respond, Maya led him to an area where humans were engaged in various recreational activities. Some were playing games that involved throwing balls into targets. Others were dancing to music. Children were running around laughing as they chased colorful floating objects. "This is what humans do when we're not working," Maya explained. "We play, we create, we enjoy each other's company. It's not productive in a military sense, but it makes life worth living." Kane watched a human father teaching his young daughter to throw a ball. When she succeeded, they both celebrated with enthusiasm. The joy on their faces was genuine and infectious. Kane felt something stirring in his chest that he couldn't identify. "Sir," Rex approached with obvious excitement, "the humans have invited us to stay longer. They want to show us their museums, libraries, and cultural centers. They're offering to share their knowledge freely with no conditions." Kane looked around at the thousands of humans who had gathered to welcome alien visitors. None showed signs of fear or deception. They genuinely seemed happy to meet beings from another world. "Dr. Rodriguez," Kane said slowly, "your species confuses me. We are conquerors. We have destroyed civilizations. Why are you treating us as friends?" Maya's expression became serious but remained kind. "Admiral, we believe that every being has the potential for good. Yes, you've done terrible things, but you're here now talking with us instead of attacking us. That suggests you're capable of choosing a different path." Kane felt the weight of his military career pressing down on him. 47 conquered worlds. Billions of beings enslaved or killed, all in service to an empire that had never offered him anything resembling the warmth he was experiencing from these humans. What if we chose to stay? Kane asked quietly. Not as conquerors, but as visitors. What would happen? Maya's smile returned. Then we'd help you learn to be happy. We'd show you all the wonderful things our worlds have to offer. We'd become friends. Kane looked up at his fleet in orbit and realized that, for the first time in his life, he didn't want to be aboard a warship. He wanted to stay on this strange planet where beings offered friendship to strangers and children gave gifts to potential enemies. The most feared military commander in the galaxy was discovering that humans possessed the most powerful weapon of all, the ability to transform hatred into love through simple kindness and acceptance. Kane made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. He opened a communication channel to his fleet. All ships, this is Admiral Kane. Cancel invasion. Protocols. We're accepting Earth's invitation to stay as guests. 6 months after the Galactic Dominion fleet arrived at Earth, the galaxy watched in amazement as the most feared military force in known space began posting vacation photos on human social media. Lieutenant Rex had become something of a celebrity among Earth's population. His daily videos documenting alien experiences with human culture regularly received millions of views. Today he was learning to cook pasta with an Italian grandmother named Rosa, who treated the former Dominion warrior like her own grandson. No, Rex, you must feel the dough, Rosa instructed patiently. Cooking is not just technique, it is love. You put your heart into the food and people can taste it. Rex carefully kneaded the pasta dough while Rosa watched approvingly. 6 months ago, he had been operating weapon systems capable of destroying cities. Now his greatest challenge was learning to make proper ravioli. Rosa, why do you teach me these things? Rex asked as they worked. I am a stranger from another world. Rosa patted his arm affectionately. Because you are here now and you want to learn, that is enough. Across the city, Admiral Kane sat in Dr. Maya Rodriguez's office reviewing reports. From his scattered fleet, the news was extraordinary. Dominion crews stationed around Earth were requesting extended shore leave. Soldiers who had never known anything but military discipline were discovering art, music, literature, and friendship. The transformation has exceeded our most optimistic projections, Maya told Kane as she shared the latest data. Your crew members are learning human languages, taking up hobbies, and forming deep friendships with local populations. Some are even falling in love. Kane nodded as he read reports from his officers. Communications Officer Vale had joined a human orchestra and was learning to play an instrument called the violin. Engineer Torres was studying human architecture and had begun designing buildings that combined Dominion technology with Earth aesthetics. Medical Officer Quinn was working with human doctors to share alien healing techniques while learning about Earth medicine. What about the other worlds? Kane asked. How has the galaxy responded to our change in status? Maya's expression became more serious, mixed reactions. Some species are celebrating. They see this as proof that the Dominion can be reformed rather than destroyed. Others are suspicious. They think it's an elaborate deception. Kane understood their skepticism. The Dominion had ruled through fear for so long that peaceful coexistence seemed impossible to many. But the evidence was undeniable. His crews were happier, healthier, and more fulfilled than they had ever been as conquerors. There's something else, Maya continued. We've been receiving communications from other alien species. Many are requesting permission to visit Earth. They want to see what happened here. Kane felt a mixture of pride and concern. Earth's approach to alien contact was spreading throughout the galaxy, but not everyone would be as receptive as the Dominion had been. Admiral, came a voice from the office doorway. Rex entered looking excited. You need to see this. Rex activated a portable display showing communications from throughout the galaxy. Message after message from conquered worlds that had suffered under Dominion rule. But instead of demands for revenge or justice, they were expressing curiosity about the transformation. They want to understand how it happened, Rex explained. How humans changed the most feared military force in the galaxy into peaceful visitors. Some are asking if Earth's methods could work for their own conflicts. Maya smiled as she read the messages. Humans aren't the only species capable of friendship, Admiral. We just happen to be the first ones your people encountered who refused to respond with fear. Kane thought about his crew scattered across Earth learning to be happy. For the first time in his life, he felt proud of his role in the galaxy, but for entirely different reasons. Instead of spreading fear, he was now part of something that might spread hope. Dr. Rodriguez, what happens now? Kane asked. My fleet can't stay on Earth forever. We have responsibilities to the Dominion and to the worlds we've conquered. That's true, Maya agreed. But you're not the same people who arrived here 6 months ago. You've learned something that the galaxy desperately needs. You've learned that strength doesn't have to mean domination. Kane understood what she was suggesting. The Dominion fleet could return to space not as conquerors but as ambassadors. They could carry Earth's message of friendship and cooperation to every world they had previously terrorized. It won't be easy, Kane said. Many species will never trust us. Some will attack us on sight. Then you'll have to be patient, Maya replied. Earning trust takes time, especially when you've broken it before. But you have something now that you didn't have before. You have the example of what's possible when beings choose friendship over fear. Rex pulled up another message that had just arrived. This one was from Admiral Voss, commander of the Dominion's Second Fleet. Voss had been Kane's rival for years, competing for favor with the Galactic Emperor. Kane, what has happened to you? Voss's message read. The Emperor is demanding explanations for your behavior. You were ordered to conquer Earth, not join their dinner parties. Report to Imperial headquarters immediately. Kane stared at the message, knowing that his transformation would soon face its greatest test. The Dominion leadership would not accept their most successful admiral abandoning conquest for friendship. I have to go, Kane told Maya. The Emperor will want answers. What will you tell him? Maya asked, though Kane considered his response carefully. 6 months ago, he would have prepared military reports focusing on tactical advantages and strategic objectives. Now he found himself thinking about Rosa teaching Rex to cook and children giving flowers to alien visitors. I'll tell him the truth, Kane said finally. I'll explain that we found something more powerful than weapons. We found a reason to stop fighting. Maya stood and embraced Kane in the human gesture of farewell. Remember, Admiral, you're not alone anymore. Earth will always be here if you need allies or just friends. Kane returned to his flagship for the first time in months. The corridors felt cold and sterile compared to the warmth of human spaces. But as he walked to the bridge, he passed crew members who smiled and waved instead of standing at rigid attention. They had learned to show affection, and it made the ship feel more like home. All ships prepare for departure, Kane announced to his fleet. We're returning to Dominion space. As the 60 ships began moving away from Earth, Kane received one final transmission from the planet. It was a video message from thousands of humans gathered in Central Park where the first contact had taken place. Thank you for visiting Earth, the message began. Thank you for choosing friendship. We'll miss you, but we know you have important work to do. Remember that you'll always have friends here. Kane watched the video showing humans he had grown to care about waving goodbye. For the first time in his military career, he was leaving a world that he didn't want to abandon, the most dreaded force in the galaxy was returning to space carrying humanity's greatest weapon. The knowledge that even the most hardened warriors could learn to love instead of destroy, Kane set course for the Imperial capital, knowing that he was about to face the greatest battle of his career. Not against enemy fleets or planetary defenses, but against an empire built on fear. He was no longer fighting for conquest. He was fighting for the right of all beings to choose friendship over hatred. The human weapon was spreading throughout the galaxy, one heart at a time.